Welcome everyone to, this is our 14th Copywriting Clinic. Man, they're getting up there. How did this happen? Today's...
Yeah, back in March.
I know, yeah. It's just crazy how time flies. Today's subject is we're going to talk about how to not break trust with your welcome emails. So we're going to be exploring welcome emails and nurture campaigns. So really important, you know, we just, what was it, 2 weeks ago, we did our session on sales funnels. And so I encourage anybody listening to maybe this recording, if you didn't check out the one on sales funnels, definitely go check that out. It gives a really, really nice overview. And today we're going to be going into one of those crucial components of the funnel of your welcome and nurture campaigns. All right, get my screen up here. And I always like to start with why. Would you like to start us off, Agnieszka? Oh, you're muted. Oh, no, you're not.
No, I'm not muted.
Just
I was
quiet.
just mounting things.
Tricky.
Why? So this is why for welcome emails or why for nurture? Why for nurture?
I think we could do some whys for both.
Okay. People have the attention span of a fruit fly. They might be really impressed with you today, but 6 hours from now, they might see another shiny object and run away. And this is why nurture campaigns happen, because when the first time a person sees your content or sees your website or sees your course offering or whatever, they might have like this curiosity. But unless you're getting somebody who's really, really ready for that particular solution, who is so frustrated with, am I too loud? Should I turn myself down?
No, you're
Okay.
good. My speaker was a little bit quiet, so I turned it up.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so unless they're like super, super primed and ready for this solution, unless they're sitting there in the middle of the night going, I wish I had a course that gave me autonomy. And the next morning they wake up and they say autonomy and they're like full on, yeah, okay, this is it, right? But that's like a very French percentage of the people. Most people, they're somewhere like maybe not, I'm thinking about it, I'm considering it, I don't know what I'm gonna do when I grow up, even though I'm 82, you know, kind of that thing. So that's where you come in and give them a hug once a week, you know, hey buddy, how's it going? Give me a hug. Hey buddy, how's it going? Give me a hug, you know? You give your customer a hug once a week with these little emails. And it's, well, we'll talk about that later, but don't ask for shit in every email. That's just bad.
Yeah.
Because that just makes it seem like you're this guy going, want to sleep with me? Want to sleep with me? Okay, that was yesterday. Wait, want to sleep with me today? Okay, it's been 6 hours. How about now?
You gotta finesse them. You gotta finesse them a bit. Gotta warm them up.
That's right. Give them a hug. Convince them that you're trustworthy. Create an atmosphere of friendship and generosity and welcoming and, you know, bringing them into the fold, like becoming their friend, getting to know them, you know. They might not know you, but the emails can give them an illusion of being your friend.
Yeah, it's like we talked about a couple weeks ago with sales funnels is, you know, there's a couple different points. One is like, I've said it a couple times now, you know, the average is it takes somebody about 7 times or so of being exposed to something before they'll actually take the next step. So, you know, we live in this world with like tons of things are constantly like warring for our attention, and there's so much buyer risk out there, understandably so. There's a lot of scams out there. There's a lot of really low quality products. There's lots of different things like that. So you need to be able to warm them up and also stay on their radar. And so that's what this works to do. That's what the nurture campaign is meant to do.
And even when it comes to courses, you know, there are courses that suck. I've been in some, and there are courses that are great, and I've been in some, right? So before when you're faced with that, this course is $3,000, you have to know what you're paying for and if it's going to suck. Fortunately, I didn't pay for the sucky course. I was just brought in by a client.
So then this also kind of leads into the topic of building trust, right? And that's part of, you know, reversing buyer risk is building trust in what you, with your prospect and what you have to offer. And that's before and after they purchase. You know, it's really about building and maintaining that trust. And so like we say here, if you break that trust, anytime in the first, like, honestly, in the first email or two, if you break that trust, few minutes, yes.
3 minutes.
They'll unsubscribe. Maybe they'll ask for a refund if they've, decided to make a purchase. But if you break that trust, they're not gonna want to follow through or hold on to that purchase. So
and it could be one word,
yeah,
that breaks their trust. Like if you're not using the right language for the right group of people, one word, like calling an 80-year-old woman, chick or bitch or whatever.
Yeah, or
whereas
dude,
that might work with some clients. With this particular one, it's an instant trust breaker. She asked for her money back that very second,
Exactly. And that kind of calls back to that knowing your audience. And anybody listening for the first time, we have 2 clinics that we've done. One was the first one on know your audience. I think that was number 3 that we did. And that went through the process of how you can do that audience research to identify your dream buyer. And then further on, I can't even remember which number it was now, but we also did Don't Leave Your Dream Buyer in the Dust, where we talked about the importance of targeted marketing. So I'm going to keep doing those callbacks to those episodes because those are incredibly important, very, very important to be able to succeed in this work. All right.
You want me to take over? Was it my turn? I was just going to send a message to that Josh dude to see if he wants to come join us. Doing that now.
Sure. And one date is not enough to impress a girl. Like we said, you got to warm her up. You got to finesse her. You got to handle some of those objections. Tell her about yourself. Tell her what you can do for her. So now we'll start moving into talking about welcome emails and nurture emails. So the point of the welcome email is to deliver your lead magnet. So whether that was some kind of, it could have been a video, a PDF, it could have been a quiz, there's all sorts of different things that could be your lead magnet, but that's something that you're offering value in exchange for, usually it's just an email address, but essentially that's really, you're not asking for anything in return yet. So then within your nurture sequence, in your welcome emails, you can continue to provide massive value while asking nothing in return.
Yes. Yes. Education-based marketing. So when it comes to the education-based aspect of marketing, what you want to do is you want to create items, little tidbits, little tiny tidbits of information that are super useful that they can apply to solving their problem right now. You know that your clients are on your mailing list because they have the problem that you solve, right? So whatever that problem is, whatever that challenge is, it's what keeps them up at night. It's what they think about before they're going to sleep. And it's what we want to solve for them. And so in solving that big problem, yeah, maybe your solution, maybe your course solves that big problem of autonomy, but you can also take them step by step towards autonomy by giving them little Richard quotes in memes.
Or like the 19 skills, right? That's the lead magnet that we use to grab attention. And that is providing massive value without asking for anything in return. People can just get that at their leisure. You can read through it however you want. We've even got an audio recording of that now. But this is just being able to provide value without asking for anything in return. And if they end up signing up for autonomy, awesome. But that's not always, yes, of course, there's always kind of an underlying goal if you're wanting to, make conversions and get people to sign up, but this isn't for everybody. You're trying to hone in and really weed out and find your ideal clients. And that's a big part of what this process also does, is it kind of weeds out the cold leads that maybe you don't want to work with, that aren't going to align with what you're doing. So.
Those really high maintenance people that you may not want to babysit for the next 6 months.
Exactly.
But also with autonomy being a bit of a unique product, not that there aren't other products like it, but it's not necessarily like the phone accessory that I was working on Friday, right? It's not a product, it's more of a greater idea, right? So for that, we can really see how we're part of the revolution. We're part of the changing of humanity, right? And then we can throw a million lead magnets and a million gifts at them and be satisfied that these people may not be ready for autonomy. They might not have the wherewithal or the mindset to step into their full power, but we're nudging them tiny bit at a time towards their fulfillment of their power. And, you know, that's why we're all here.
Absolutely. And if they're on the fence, if they're not really sure, if you get too aggressive, that's a really quick way to help them decide that they don't want it.
Autonomy. I'm not sure if I want to be autonomous. Maybe I'd rather be a slave for a little bit while alone. If you're still a slave, you're an idiot. Oh, fuck. Okay. Those are crazy people.
We touched on this a little bit, you know, don't sell in every single email. So this is kind of part of like building out an email campaign. And what I learned in an email marketing course that I took was, and I kind of keep this in my head, of about 75% of your emails being just, what's up?
Oh, sorry, I should have muted.
Oh, okay. So about 75% of your emails being purely nurture, education-based, nurturing emails, just trying to build that relationship, and only 25% of that should be selling, should be actually sales emails in that. And so as I see here, nurture emails are frequent, low-risk engagements over periods of time that show commitment, dedication, and build relationships with the brand slowly. So we'll go through, these are just some basics of an education-based nurture system, and then we're going to look at some examples. So reminders. If you've delivered a lead magnet, maybe it's possible that they haven't had a chance to actually go through it all yet. You know, there's a lot of people that, you know, several weeks in that we've gotten feedback that haven't actually read the 19 skills all the way through. You know, this is kind of one of the reasons one of the extra reasons why we produced the audio version, because it gave another way to consume it. But part of that reminders is, you know, I think we can all relate how busy our days get, you know, that go, 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 go. Sometimes if like I see something, ooh, that's really cool. I don't have time to take a look at it right now, but I might later. And then how easy it is to forget about that. So reminders, really gentle reminders in your email sequence. Hey, did you have a chance to look at this yet? And sometimes that can be really, really helpful. I've been on the receiving end of those, and that can be really, really helpful.
Absolutely. Even thinking about the fact that I was on Carol's mailing list for like years, 3, maybe 4 years before I ever started working with her. And she's like my #1 mentor who like still feels like a mother to me. You know what I mean? But it was years before I met her. And maybe neither one of us was ready for that meeting. Maybe I wasn't in a headspace to take her, you know, acerbic nature. But thank you very much, Eric. You're wonderful.
But she stayed on your radar, and once you were ready.
With her photo. That's what it was. Every month or so, or every couple of months, I'd get an email with a photo. Every time she was doing a course, essentially, or an intro session, I would get a picture of her and that funny little man that she worked with, and he looked funny, he had a beard and stuff, and like always stuck in my head, and I always deleted it, but I never unsubscribed. And so that's why I know that people lower their numbers with like, oh, people are not engaged, I'm going to lower their numbers. But see, and that's good if you have thousands or millions of subscribers. But if you're like a school or something, there may be people who are actually just waiting for the right time in those unengaging people. So, and the other thing I wanted to say is, I know I've said this in clinics before, but I just want to repeat. When you're trying to send an email to somebody, you have to envision this person. Say, you know, if it's a woman, right? It's a mother, she's got a baby on her hip, she's ironing, she's talking on the phone with her mother-in-law, and the email comes in and she glances over at the email while still ironing and arguing with her mother-in-law, and the baby's screaming. And then your email has to be so good that it cuts through all of that noise and gets directly in her. And if it's a guy, you know, he is trying to answer an email to his boss, his wife is yelling at him about the garbage, and, you know, and the dog is barking because he wants to get out, right? Or some equivalent chaos. And then you have to break through that chaos and really, you know, hit him in the heart, really, essentially, because people don't make decisions based on their head, even if they're analytical, even if they want to see the numbers first, the final decision is always made at the heart level.
It reminds me of the graphic ad that Willow brought to us recently, which was speaking to her male audience. And at first, you know, she was really like holding back, and it was this kind of vague language. I'm trying to remember exactly what it was, but it was just kind of like, you know, are you struggling with, you know, I don't remember what it was, intense emotions, something pretty vague. Yeah, look it up. And then, but what really resonated most, especially when we got feedback from the men in the group, was, you know, are you tired of punching holes in your drywall? And
Yeah, so
that
came
cuts
from,
through the noise.
yeah, and so that went as a by the way. It was like the last afterthought she had to like the front and center. Yeah, are you tired of punching holes in the walls?
Yeah.
And then the guys in the group were like, yeah, I can relate to that.
Mm-hmm.
Willow and I talk a lot. Still scrolling. Still scrolling.
No problem. I mean,
No, I think I scrolled past it. What the heck?
well, we got the general idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, ways that you can nurture your audience, nurture new prospects. Educational emails. This is like answering their questions. There's everyone has questions when they're coming into contact with a new product or a service. So anything that you can do to answer some of those questions before they actually get on the call with you, before they schedule an appointment, that's going to not only is it going to help to build trust with them and start to remove some of that buyer risk, but it's also going to take some of that stuff off your plate when it comes time to actually talk with them. Those are a bunch of questions that you don't have to deal with. They've already been answered.
The other thing is when educating your customers, you need to remember that it doesn't matter if you say the same bit of information 2, 3, 10, 15, 17 times. Even if I look at some of my favorite Facebook pages, right? Well, my favorite being the language nerds, they reuse content a lot, but I don't really get tired of it because they do it in a way that, they don't show me the same piece of content for 3 or 4 months. And then when I see it again, I'm like, that was funny. You know what I mean? Oh, that was cool. Or, oh, I remember those German words. I want to check it out again. You know what I mean? So there's a way of repurposing content or restructuring content so you can use the same. And one of my marketing teachers, Callan Rush, she's out of Vancouver. Maybe not anymore. She used to be out of Vancouver. I think she may be in Costa Rica now or something. But Callan used to say that it doesn't matter if you give them everything that you give them in the training session before the training session, because it's not going to land the same. They're not going to learn the same. Just having one sentence at a time in an email or on a landing page or whatever is not going to give them the information that a 3-day intensive gives them, even if you give them all of your information.
Mm-hmm. That's a really good point, because I think there's some fear and hesitation sometime of like, I don't want to give away too much.
You can't.
Yeah.
Unless in a one-on-one. In a one-on-one, I habitually do this, and it's a really bad idea where I have a one-on-one strategy session, like an initial session, and I give everything away, and they don't need any strategy session afterwards. I'm learning to balance that out better, but I have a hard time holding back in the first session.
Mm-hmm. I can see that.
But I did well actually yesterday. I successfully did it, and I have a strategy session booked for Monday for the same client. So
Nice.
there's progress. I sent you that ad if you want to look at Willow's thing for an example.
Sure. Yeah. Yep. You find yourself putting holes in your drywall.
And I think it was key that we had men on the call and that they were able to provide their ideas.
Mm-hmm. All right. Useful tips. I mean, this kind of falls a little bit in with like educational emails, but it's almost like giving some extra little lead magnets within your campaign.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? I don't call them lead magnets in my vernacular. I call them gifts. Mm-hmm. So a lead magnet is a gift, and nurture email is a gift. You know what I mean? And a phone call is a gift. It's all a gift that you give to the client without asking for anything in return. You might offer them a plate of cookies, but you're not demanding that they buy your cookies.
Mm-hmm. And Sabri calls it a high value converting offer or a high value content offer. I've heard it both ways, but HVCO, it's just kind of a mouthful. And lead magnet tends to be the most like widely understood term. So I tend to, at least in this sense, I tend to go with that. But I like gifts. I like that.
Well, I say to new clients, yeah, that's a lead magnet. In my vernacular, I call it a gift. Mm-hmm. And then from then on, I call them gifts. Like, what gifts are we giving clients this week?
Nice. I like that. It's a blend of support and call to action. And this isn't, and to clarify, this isn't in one email, perhaps, or this is, you're thinking, oh, she ran away. I was thinking of looking at this as like with your whole campaign of having, you know, that blend of support and call to action. And this kind of goes back to not trying to sell in every email. And, you know, having that, like I said, I kind of just keep it in my head since I took that course about, you know, the 75% nurture and 25% sales. So
I'm sorry.
it's okay.
Open the window. What were you asking?
It's the blend of support and call to action.
Yeah. So the way I set it up, so I studied nurture campaigns in Phoenix at the 6th Division Academy or whatever it was called. And what they suggested is do it through 3 education-based emails that ask for nothing in return, that don't even have a link other than, you know, whatever one link in your signature. And then giving them an offer. So creating something that's like really compelling, going, okay, these 3 emails, we were talking about this. Here's your solution for that issue. Here's a bigger solution than what we've been giving you in the email. And then they can choose to step on it. And then it has a couple of reminders. You don't step up to that offer, back to the 3 educational emails, and then another offer, you know, a couple of weeks later.
And I kind of added this one on last night of just kind of going back to like, this is also a chance to address common objections. And again, to help remove that buyer risk.
How would you do that? Address common objections.
I think of like the almost like frequently asked questions in a way, but thinking of like those common things. And this is something that comes out of your audience research, is finding those common objections, those common barriers and uncertainties so that you can address them head on and show empathy and understanding for that other side. That's really, really important, is being able to connect with your audience on that emotional level. Like, I understand where this hesitancy and objection is coming from. And trying to find a way that you can address that and try and build some more trust, ease their mind. All right, shall we look at examples?
Sure. I wanted to say something about common objections, and then I got distracted momentarily.
Well, if you think of it, bring it back.
Yeah. Yeah, I got my coffee. That was awesome.
Here, let's skip this. Oh, that's weird. I'm zooming in and it's getting small.
You're not using the right zoom button. It's the other zoom button you want to. That one. Nope. Yeah. But it's right there on the icon by the printer.
Well, it's too easy.
And then fit 70% or something. Yeah, that works. I guess that wasn't what it was to start with, fit 70%, right? Right, so it doesn't matter what this is something I drew for a client when they were considering hiring me for a funnel, and said, oh, what kind of a funnel would you use? And I kind of reuse the same graphic, changing colors. What I do, this little trick that I do, is I take their logo and I change the colors to their logo, and I stick the logo in the corner so they feel at home with this graphic, right? And then if it's not a survey, if it's a webinar, I have another one that starts with a webinar with reminders, and another one, you know, that starts with like an opt-in or a lead magnet, but basically the same thing.
And so this one is survey based?
Yeah, so this one is when you ask them on Facebook, for example, to fill out a survey. And if they filled out a survey, or if they just filled out their name, but they didn't fill out the rest of the survey, that's when they get their 3 reminders. And then at the same time, once you get their email, they go into this educational series. Well, this is exactly what I just described.
And, you know, and I noticed here, you know, say last minute reminder, we won't bug you about this again. So if at this point you don't get any bites, they get taken off the list, right? Well,
they get taken off the survey list. They don't necessarily get taken off the nurture list because they did express interest. So they have to self-eliminate from that by pressing the unsubscribe button.
Got it.
So the survey is just like, you know, did you finish filling out the survey? Don't you want to know what kind of an animal you are? I'm just joking. I don't do surveys like that. That was just, I don't think I would. Oh, by the way, Josh sends his apologies. He had to work this morning.
No problem. Thanks for checking.
I figured it'd be fun having him here. And I thought maybe he's lost. Maybe he doesn't know where to get the link, right?
Yeah, you never know. And so this is, you know, a good point though, because a lot of people think that so let's look at this as like So instead of maybe survey, let's say they actually maybe purchase something, like converted in some way. Oftentimes there's this misconception that like once they've made a purchase, suddenly they're done and they're out. They're, so suddenly everything stops. And in a big way, it's where it begins. This is where you get to start really like nurturing those leads and continuing on. What do you think about that?
If they purchased your product, that means that they have the problem that you solve, right? So right away, as you're a match, right? The little wheels align. They have a problem, you solve the problem, they purchase your product, they admit to the fact that they have that problem. If you have other products that you want to provide them, that's a really warm lead. That's somebody who is already identified as having the problem that you solve.
And you must have built enough trust, at least like foundational trust, that they decided to make a purchase.
Right, so. Or they really have this problem. Because people who don't trust you but really, really have the problem, they'll still buy your stuff if the problem is uncomfortable enough. So then we go back to nurturing, back to building trust.
Yeah, and so I was going to ask you, like, what would be a good example of a really quick way in this situation to break that trust? Say they've made a purchase. What would be, an easy way to break that trust?
So let's bring it down to something we all are familiar with, which is dating, which is my most common example, right? So say you meet a girl and you like her and you ask her phone number and she gives you the phone number, and then you phone her and you ask her for a date and she goes with you on a date, right? And then you break apart, you go home, whatever. The next day, what would be the thing that you could do to break her trust so that she won't want to see you again? Or even that evening, right after the date, what is the thing that you could do to break her trust so that she won't go out with you again? Gentlemen?
That's an easy one. Just about anything.
Like what?
I don't want to say.
Asking her for sex?
Just
Making moves uninvited?
In general.
Being a crazy conspiracy.
Smell her hair. How about that?
Like what?
Smell her hair.
Smell her hair. There you go. That's a good one.
I got a question for you about your funnel, if I can interject.
Right.
At the end there, you said they come off the survey list. The survey being analogous to like the lead magnet, for example, right? Where you get to the very end of their call to action, to final reminder, and then you don't bother them anymore. You keep them on the nurture list.
Yeah, I would. I would ask them. And then there are tools that you can eliminate with them with. For example, say you keep them on the nurture list and you send them 3 or 4 emails. And then they have no action. They don't open the emails. They don't click. They don't have any engagement whatsoever. There are tools that you can check the engagement and see if somebody's gotten 3 or 4 emails and haven't responded or opened. And then you can eliminate them that way if they don't self-eliminate.
If they don't, so you would, in some cases, take someone off the list even if they didn't click unsubscribe.
Well, so that's a conundrum. That is a conundrum, because on one hand, you pay per person for your lists, right? Especially if your lists are bigger than 500, right? You're paying, every person is, like there are certain limits. It's not, you don't pay per person essentially, but it's like up to 1,000 is this much, over 1,000 is this much, up to 10,000 is this much, right? So if your list balloons to 100,000 or 300,000 or 500,000, you may be paying over $1,000 a month for that list. If the list is not generating that kind of an income, or if there's a lot of dormant people on the list, you want to eliminate them because they're just eating your money. You're not getting what you're putting in.
Your money being like your subscription to MailChimp or something like that.
Yeah, which is $1,000 for,
Yeah, I'm trying to find a workaround for that, actually. I'd like to own my own mail list instead of MailChimp. I was thinking like, I don't know, maybe.
I could tell you, we could talk about how like Mark Passio, what he uses. And I mean, he's got a really, it's been a little bit more of a complicated system, which I've finally figured out. But this is the reason. So he has set it up so that he completely owns his mailing list and doesn't have, like, he uses the thing called Max Bulk Mailer. And with that program is a little bit different. I'm still kind of getting used to it, but I know for him, it's like, insanely cheap. It's much cheaper than if you were to use something like MailChimp. And then as well as he completely has complete control and ownership of that list. So there are options.
So that makes me wonder, what's his deliverability like? Are these emails getting into inboxes? Are they getting open? Do we have any stats on that?
I do know for a fact, because Deirdre had reached out and she was like, hey, I heard this got sent, but I didn't see it. I looked in the delivery report and it was delivered, and I do believe she found it hiding way back in her spam. So I'm not entirely sure.
Okay, so say Mark's email went to spam. So that what are the reasons why his email would go to spam? Number one, because he's not using a trusted mailer. Right? Number two, he's got spammy words, but we wrote it, so I don't think there are spammy words in that email. Number three, his domain is somehow not trusted by the spam bots, right? Number four, his domain's DKIM and DNS settings are not set correctly for mails, spammer, mail, what's this called? No, it's
Max
Bulk
Mailer.
Yeah, not mail spammer, sorry, wrong name. But yeah, so these are the things. And so this is why in autonomy we're with Infusionsoft, because Infusionsoft, despite it being a juggernaut and complex and annoying, it has a hugely good reputation. Like, I don't even know how, because I wouldn't, like, personally, I know that in my mind, they don't have good reputation, but with the spam bots, they have a great reputation. And so there are chances of getting your emails into inboxes are much greater when you use, like when you got this army, like Infusionsoft army at your back, making sure that everything is clean, as opposed to something like an unknown private, and this is to you guys, right? Unknown private system that the spam bots that are owned by the powers that should not possibly be, are not going to give you priority for delivery on that.
Yeah. Well, now you've got me curious about how they accomplish that and if there's a way around it. But like, it's probably not. It's probably worth just investing in a tool, I'm guessing.
So when I first started working, okay, sorry, Kara.
Oh, no, I was just going to mention, and it also like doing some research into what kind of program or tool you decide to use. Because for example, MailChimp, 100% of MailChimp emails will show up in promotions folders. If you have like on your Gmail, if you have it like set up where you've got, primary and promotion and stuff, until they will put you on their contact list, and even sometimes after, everything will be sent to their promotions folder, almost guaranteed, and oftentimes into spam. So it's kind of one or the other. So doing some research into the type of program that you decide to use, where something like Drip and ActiveCampaign, they have much higher, and of course Infusionsoft have much higher probability of it ending up in the primary inbox.
Because they have the huge reputation, and things like Zoho, right?
Yeah. So then when Passio sends emails out through Max Bulk Mailer, they're just coming from mail servers that he set up.
Yeah. Actually, Eric, do you get them in your inbox, the Passio newsletter? Oh, Eric's not here. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm very curious to.
Yeah, you do. You get them in your inbox?
Well, no. Well, I send everything to my spam, so I'm not really a good reference.
What do you mean you send everything into your spam?
Dude, even you go in my spam.
I got it in my personal Gmail in the promotional inbox,
Okay.
and then in my business Gmails, it did show up in the regular feed on the Gmail.
So it's a bit of a tangent, but yeah, if you're not going to use something like MailChimp, you're probably going to spend a lot of time dealing with finding workarounds for spam folders, and I guess they also check for like SEO keywords, or not SEO, spam keywords.
Yeah,
Trigger words.
Yeah, for keywords, they check if there are too many images, if you're, and even sentences. It's not just the word. For example, the word get is a spam trigger, but by itself is not as much of a spam trigger than if you put it in combination with get hit now or click here now. Those three words together are a huge spam trigger.
It would just be nice to not have to worry about taking people off of your list unless they unsubscribe because of the cost of sending mail.
Right.
Anyway.
And I would like to, because I know earlier I talked about how, one of the reasons that that Mark Passio has said that he likes to use a system is about having full control and ownership. Well, I'd also like to point out, even if you're using one of these programs, one of these systems, you still do own that email list. that is still yours. It doesn't belong to MailChimp. It doesn't belong to ActiveCampaign. That's still your list. You can export it at any time.
Even if you get banned?
Yeah. And that's why, you know, email marketing does have such an advantage as opposed to like, you know, social media, those kinds of things, they can change on a dime. They're constantly changing algorithms and procedures and policies. So, you know, you can lose stuff in a moment's notice, but that email list is yours.
Hey, can I pop in for a minute? The email list, this is all very interesting. And Gus, I really appreciated how you got yourself off the hot seat with that question. So that was also like, wow, that was really good. All right, so the email list. I don't care how many people are on my list, even though I'm paying for all those people, because I have a high value offer and any one of those could pop, right? So there could be someone who's they're interested 2 years down the road, right? It just wasn't the right time, but they keep filing and listening and reading and clicking and viewing, right? So the only time I take somebody off my list is I tell Joshua, I'm like, hey, blacklist this person. I've only had to do that once, and then I enrolled that woman last week. So even people that I'm like, hey, blacklist, if they write back and they're cool, she told me to F off like four or five emails, man. I was like,
no, and now you enrolled her? What are you thinking?
Yeah.
Not you that's going to babysit her, it's us.
Yeah, she's wonderful. you guys are going to get along.
Oh, shit.
She was just having a hard day. And I said, I've been there, and I really appreciated her moxie and turning that around and resilience. And yes, she seems all right.
I know you say I'm a pearl, but I'm not really a pearl.
I'm a pearl, though.
Oh.
I'm not afraid to say it anymore. All right, so the email list, I would only unsubscribe somebody like if they wrote something. And even when people write back, I'm like, you could simply unsubscribe if this offer is not for you. Like, I'm just cool about it, you know, because it's interested, right? Like this one dude's like, you know, I get it, but you know, fucking take a break, dude. And I was like, well, you could just unsubscribe if it's not for you, because I hope you don't think I'm emailing just you. You know what I'm saying? So it's a list. You signed up. This is the internet. Welcome to it, and have a nice day. So I don't really care. Like if there's 2,000, 3,000, 5,000, as long as there are people who actively signed up for that thing, I'll leave them on there, right? But they should be people who actively signed up and gave their permission for that list or whatever you're educating them about, right? The way Mark does it, that's part of Mark's problem. He does everything that's a little overcomplicated. Like he doesn't use webcams. He uses cameras that take RJ45s and stuff and networks them, because it's like he's too smart for his own good and he needs to simplify. So one of those issues is like having so much control over your email autoresponder and such. It's not necessary, because like Kara said, you could just pull your list and download it as a CSV anytime you want. And I've moved several places. I started MailChimp, I went to Drip, now we're in Infusionsoft. I haven't moved the Drip list into Infusionsoft. I keep emailing that list with the offer to get to Infusionsoft, so I don't have to import them, right? I have a couple other email lists like Simple Texting, where we send people stuff on text, and we're going to send them a couple more offers and then cancel that because it's not really doing what we were paying for it to do. They broke their system and didn't tell us. So anyway, how many people are on the list and if you're paying for them is only a concern if you're not generating good money with your list. So it goes back to your offer. What are you offering? And you can strengthen your offer, and then your list is going to reflect that offer. Does that make sense?
Yes. And so why does Richard have this luxury? Because each one of his sales takes care of the whole month's payment for the whole list, right? If he makes one sale that month, that takes care of the payment. Now this dude that has the phone widget, that's $8, he may not have that luxury.
He might have to make 20 sales to pay for that, and that seems like it doesn't work. So he needs to offer more value, because people do spend more than 20 bucks or $8 or whatever, you know.
It's $8 and free shipping.
Yeah,
but he always gets new people, so it's not a problem for him, right? He calls the list and the people come back. Just different system. Sorry.
Yeah, no. So yeah, it depends on what you're offering and the value of what you're offering. And I just kind of wanted to mention too, because we were talking earlier about, you know, people on your list that may not be engaging, may not be opening your emails or clicking or anything like that. And so we were talking about the question of whether to remove them from their list. Well, I'm just thinking about myself and how many email lists that I'm on currently that I intentionally choose not to unsubscribe. However, I'm not opening their emails, but it's because I know that there's a chance that I might want what they're offering in the future. So I'm not ready to get off that list yet, even though I haven't been opening their emails or clicking on their links. So it just kind of, it depends. Everybody's in this different point in their life and what they're interested in, and you don't really know what's going to come up in the future. And like Rich said, you know, this could be, somebody could be on the list for 2 years, or like Agnieszka, like you were on Carol's list for how many years?
4, I think.
Yeah, before you decided to like really take the leap. So,
and actually it's interesting because what made me sign up for Carol's course is nothing she did in the email, but I was getting these emails for 4 years, and then a friend in my spiritual community was like, hey, I'm going to this lady's, and I'm like, I know of that lady, I've been getting your emails. She's like, yeah, come with me, I'll give you a ride, you know. And then I have no more excuses.
right, should we look at another one?
Yeah, look at the other one with the SMS. Oh, that's not the one with the SMS. Yeah.
Do you got
I had
one?
another one that was similar to this one, but after every email, they had a text message that said, hey, check your email. There's a new tip or whatever.
Too much.
You're really having issues with those Zoom
I
buttons.
I know.
There's too many options.
I don't want to talk about it. Well, did you want to look at a different, if you have a different one you'd like to look at?
I'm going to find the other one because I thought at first glance yesterday, it was outside. It was too bright. I thought that was the other. But for this one is actually for, I think it was for house buyers or something like that, right? They expressed interest on the website, and then they had a personal welcome from the owner, and then the tips for house buying. If they didn't buy the house that they first clicked on, because it's like an MLS website, right? They click on the house that they want to buy and they request information. Then this Simon dude would call them back, or one of his minions would call them back. But if they didn't buy at that point, then they go into this nurture with house buying tips.
Mm.
And we wrote out that whole series, house buying tips and stuff. Anyway, I'm just going to be back in a minute. Well, I am here, but I'm going to check this out.
Should I stop sharing so that you can in a moment?
I'll probably just give it to you.
Okay.
Just keep talking about stuff. I'll be
Okay.
there.
Talk about stuff. So let's see.
I would like to say, as a bachelor, I really appreciate all the gold you guys are delivering, but in addition, the dating advice, it's golden too. Awesome. I mean, this is just like 2 for 1.
Don't smell her hair.
Don't smell her hair. Exactly.
But, you know, essentially, you could smell her hair. If you give her a hug and you smell it in a way that, you know, she doesn't notice, you're good. Just saying.
It's still creepy. I guess.
If she doesn't know it, it's not creepy for her.
Yeah, you just got to be sneaky about it.
You just got, if you're going to be crazy, you got to be sneaky about it. And everyone's crazy, so.
Yeah, so sprinkling in some tips in here, which is nice. Checking in.
I don't know, I can't find it. It's not where I thought I'd put it. Sorry,
That's okay.
deal with it.
How about questions? Anybody have questions?
You know, I have a bunch of questions, but I'm not going to ask any of them. I wish I was further along where I could just apply this information right now. But I'm keeping all your printouts, printing them out and putting them in my folder and trying to form my own process. So this is all great information.
Well, the other thing is that you always have access to us too. Like we're not, you know, running away into the hills or anything.
I hope so.
I had a question about the Little Richard quotes and how it applied to nurturing your perfect client. What was that thing about the Little Richard quotes?
Little
You
Richard?
said Agnieszka?
No, little snapshots of what Richard said. Well, but that was for specifically for autonomy, for the autonomy newsletter, or for advertising autonomy. We want to get like a spreadsheet with the best of Richard Grove. And then we would use these sentences for marketing in different places, like for ads or for memes or for newsletters or email content or whatever.
Okay.
You know,
I
I'd
got
say if people would like some, you know, an easy way for some inspiration on kind of the format and style to put into your welcome emails, check out the sequence for the 19 skills. Like that, that is based completely off of Sabri's method. And so, for example, you know, this is delivering the 19 skills. So it gives some nice benefits and tips of like what you're going to get. This is just the welcome. It's really short and sweet because, you know, you're just getting to the point, giving them a little bit of value, but then offering them their free download. And so I brought a bunch of these up that we can kind of just take a look at here. So this is the like, did you get this? This is number 2. So this is that reminder, wanting to see if you've had a chance to read it. And it's also like giving you a little bit more value, telling you a little bit more about what you're going to get, answering maybe some of their common questions, or at least addressing those common questions. I'm a little bit on it, to be honest. I've been a little bit surprised at with Sabri's method how there's quite a bit of sales in pretty much all of them, in my opinion. I don't know if anyone has any agreements or disagreements with that, but it's just something I've observed. And I mean, the guy's spent millions and millions of dollars on testing this stuff, so I don't necessarily question his methods. It's just something I've observed. You know, he does really mix though. He mixes his offers with tons of benefits and really like showing how it's going to help you.
I think I found what I was looking for.
Oh, yeah? Another one I was going to mention. So, you know, we've got, let's see, this was like adding just some more tips. 9 out of 10 people fail. But then I was going to mention like the newest kind of edge of value was the 19 skills read by Sonia. And this was really great because we got feedback. There was a ton of people that hadn't actually read it all the way through after several weeks because, and we said it, life can get really busy, might not have had a chance to read it all the way through. We got a solution for that. And so giving another way to like remove the obstacles, remove the excuses, here's another way that you can take this in. So you said you think you found it?
That was awesome.
Yeah, but it's not that much different than the other one.
Yeah, that was a brilliant maneuver. And then the videos are coming next. And those will be
cool.
another excuse takeawayer.
Nice.
And then the other thing that's worth adding is from an email autoresponder, author, copywriter perspective, right? So let's say you write somebody's introduction campaign, like what we're looking at here, right? And, you know, they get some leads out of it, but it doesn't really like get them to where they want to go. The good news is, and this is where most people, I call this like the cutting room floor. That's where all the valuable stuff is. It's like, so anyway, you made this offer, only a couple people signed up, but now you've got thousands of people on a list that you can nurture, and you can give them a different version of that offer later. And like you're growing a list that you can communicate and educate over time, because what you're saying is in that first, 8 email sequence, there's a lot of people interested, but only some were ready to do the call right then. So if you follow up with nurturing for the next 6 months, a lot of those people on that list would come around. So it's really like a super marathon, not a sprint. You keep serving up value to your list and don't make them too many offers, right? There's a lot of offers up front because it's like that one offer, get on the call. But if they don't do that, it's not like all is lost. You have a nurture campaign that comes in. It's like, well, maybe that wasn't the right time for you, but this course or whatever the product or service is that they're interested in probably is.
Mm-hmm.
We're cutting Play-Doh out here.
Nice.
Making fish and stuff. We gotta find a knife for this.
You know,
but you guys, you got what I'm saying. Like there's a lot of potential in the email list that nobody ever really works to get that potential out because they just keep focusing on the leads instead of the nurture long term. And when they don't take you up on that initial offer, you do have this opportunity to nurture long term, and that's why you wouldn't want to take these people off your list, because it's just like you haven't nurtured them right, you haven't showed them the right thing. Like Tyler said, you know, they could see the 19 skills video next week and be like, oh, that's my thing, that's the thing I'm supposed to do, you know.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
long-term relationship building through email.
Yeah, and everybody's different, and people like to ingest information differently, so it's like it's a way to catch the people that you missed along the way. And I know that I just kind of wanted to point out that looking at something like this, especially if, you know, if you're a new copywriter or you're getting a new business, you're kind of new to this stuff, I know that this can kind of look intimidating, look like a lot of work. Well, guess what? It is worth it. Oh my gosh, is it worth it? You know, early on when I first started doing this work, the campaigns that we'd come up with were literally like 3 emails where we'd have like, all right, here's your deliverable. And then the second would be like, about me, so you know all about me. And then it would be like another offer. And then it was like done. And, you know, no wonder.
Who cares about you? They don't care about you. They only care about themselves. They don't know you well enough to care about you. After a year of reading your emails, they might care about you. And then you're like, you know, if you say something like, oh, broke my leg, people will be like, oh my gosh, you broke your leg. I love you. Right? But until like the first 10 or 20 emails, they just like, oh yeah, good for you, lady.
Yeah.
Whoever you are.
Mm-hmm. And then, and two is just like, and then stopping there, where like I said before, okay, if it takes somebody, you know, average, just say again, 7 times to come in contact with something, 3 emails is not going to cut it.
7 to 12 times.
Yeah.
And then also they have to see it on different platforms, right? You can't just be 12 emails because that doesn't necessarily work. It would have to be a poster or a Facebook or a this or that, you know, seeing in different contexts before they can trust you.
So even though it might be tempting to kind of go a simpler, easy route, it's very, very much worth the effort and the testing to really get this fleshed out right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting because with Carol, when I showed up at her intro session, right, I still didn't trust her. So, and then she's like, oh, you can come up on the stage and I'll tell you stuff about you. And I was, you know, even I was like, sure you can. I'll believe it when I see it. So I put up my hand. I'm like, yeah, put me in front. Let's see, right? So I stepped on stage and she said like 3 or 4 things about me that I didn't think were visible on the outside. And I was like, oh, holy shit. And so at this time, I just finished coaching school and I had no job. So I went to Carol and I offered her trade for her courses. I'm like, I need to learn what you do. So I have these skills. Here's my resume. Use these skills to pay for your courses. And she's like, right on. Show up there on Monday. She didn't even get any work out of me until after I finished the course.
Yeah.
Nice example.
And then I worked with her in the office for like 6 years, being her little apprentice, which was awesome. It was almost like as if I moved in with her.
Nice. I found this last night, just a nice graphic of just the different stages within the funnel: awareness, evaluation, and purchase. And you can kind of on your own time take a look at these because, of course, it's, you know, really small and I'm not going to play with my Zoom anymore today. But just the different things that are appropriate to offer for these different stages of the buyer journey. So I encourage people to look at that. I know that we're coming up on 10 o'clock. Is there a books thing today? Okay, cool. So we'll kind of wrap up. I don't want to take away.
And at 5 p.m. Pacific, so for 6, 7, 8 p.m. Eastern is Daniel McCarthy's book reading this afternoon. I want to make sure everybody remembers about that because it's cool and I like him. Cool. And he wrote a cool book.
All right, takeaways.
8 p.m. Eastern, that is, McCarthy?
Yeah. Yep.
All right, I'll set my reminder. Thank you. Takeaways.
Takeaways. Nurturing your leads this way will weed out or transform your cold leads into leads who actually have the intention of buying.
Make sure that every nurture is like a warm hug, not as a demand for attention from a small child.
And so lead nurturing is the art of developing relationships. And that's what you're doing. It's about building trust, building relationships so that they'll want to work with you.
It's about loving people into acquiescence.
I put a variety of articles in here, some from Sabri that had some really good tips on email marketing and these nurture campaigns. as well as I got one from HubSpot, from someone named Emma I'd never heard of, but I liked the article, how to create winning lead nurturing emails with examples. And this was also nice, when to use a drip campaign versus a nurture campaign by campaign creators. So these are some good good articles. I pulled most of these out last night, if I'm being honest, so I haven't read all of them all the way through. But what I saw from all of these, I didn't put them in here unless I saw some good information. So check these out. And of course, your practice, hey, write a welcome email. You know, if you have something, you know, even if you don't have anything to deliver, like think about what will your lead magnet potentially be and how would you present that? And then you could start strategizing your nurture sequence. What kind of value can you provide? What questions can you answer? What education can you offer? And bring your work next week or anything that you're working on. Next week will be another feedback session.
Are you coming next week? Is next week the week you're away?
I'm going in 2 weeks. I'm actually going to be gone the week of the meet and greet. I will probably be able to tune in on my phone. I won't have internet access out there, but I'll have my phone and data, so I can tune in that way. But and I'm.
So you're gonna pre-tape what you're gonna say to the students then?
Or she's gonna make me do it.
I was like, watch me put her on the hot seat right here.
Well,
come off mute. No, you don't have to. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I've told my story a couple times, so I mean, I could tell it again.
But you get better each time you tell it, and you've grown so much since the last time. This is me not taking no for an answer. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I've already been thinking about it, and I should be able to tune in on my phone. So.
Yeah, you do what's natural. I was just giving you a hard time because that's how I am on Saturday mornings.
It's good for me.
When playing with Play-Doh.
All right.
Only when playing with Play-Doh.
All right. Well,
guys, I just want to say before you end, I just want to say what a great class this is. You're such excellent teachers. And yeah, you do such a great job. And I'm so impressed. And I just wanted to say that before you ended.
Thank you. Lisa.
I know I don't say much because I'm not really participating, but I am listening.
You're not really participating. Why aren't you really participating? I think you're.
Well, I'm just saying I don't have anything I'm bringing to the table, really. I'm just listening and learning, but thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. And Agnieszka, thank you so much. I just, you really, I feel like the two of us together really bring this to life. I really enjoy working with you and teaching with you, and I'm just very grateful for you. So thanks.
I'm grateful for you, and I think it's so much more fun. And this is why I wanted these coffee clinics to happen with you, because we're such magical, we have a magical connection.
We do.
And that's
I agree. There's a lot of synergy there. There's a lot of synergy there. And yeah, it's apparent.
And it's so easy to go back and forth, right? Like, and we just pick it up so easily. It's very nice. It's very nice. That's why I think we should have an advertising webinar for people on Facebook. Kara and I teaching copywriting and then bringing those people into autonomy. That was my idea yesterday afternoon.
Yeah, that would be the appropriate way to use Facebook advertising.
Yeah.
Teaching.
Let's advertise your skills.
Yeah, it's not about our skills. It's about the revolution.
What happens when people
it's about the revolution.
Evolution.
Yeah, it's evolution. It's about the evolution.
All right.
Great job, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Great job, Kara, Agnieszka.
Thank you.
Definitely second what Lisa said. Awesome.
Thanks, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Mwah.
See you
Talk to you later.
Bye.
You too. Take care, guys.
Bye.
Great meeting. Thank you, everyone.
We're talking about the Peloponnesian War today.
All right.
You know what the Peloponnesian War is?
I'm about to find out. Bye.
Bye.